95% of 18 to 35-year-olds are interested in exploring interests and communities they discovered online through in-person events. 95% is
everyone.
Every Gen
So
Z.
basically, everyone.
Every Gen Zer is looking for the URL to IRL moment.
Explore the minds and marketing strategies behind today's winning brands and businesses. Tap into the power of the creator economy with Earned by CreatorIQ.
Hi, I'm Brit Starr, CMO at CreatorIQ. I'll be joining Earned to lead conversations around transformation, talking directly with the leaders, doers, and creators changing marketing from the inside out. The future is content first and creator-led. Let's get started.
Hi, welcome back to Earn. I'm super excited to be here today. It is a Friday, and I'm sitting with my good friend, Jessie Young, who is the director of brand marketing at Eventbrite. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We are also in person, and that is very intentional. We are going to spend today, probably the next 20 minutes, talking about the importance of in-person events and community and how that translates really seamlessly from online to offline and the beauty of that. I'd love to kick it off with kind of what Eventbrite stands for, why this means so much, like why are we even here talking about this today?
Yeah, I think if you're watching this and listening to this, you're like, Eventbrite, I know Eventbrite. And Eventbrite's been around for about 15 years. They started off as a platform that helps event organizers put their events on. So we started as like a ticketing platform, and then we've evolved into like a full suite partner. So here's all your marketing tools beyond basically just ticketing. We're so much more than that. Here's advice that we can give you on how to put on events, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the last like 5 or 6 years, we've really morphed into also a place for discovery for consumers. That's what we're really focused on in the next few years, is bridging organizers and attendees together so they can discover one another easier.
So discover communities, events,
passions, all sorts of things. So Eventbrite is this really beautiful community of event organizers who are putting on the most interesting events. So think of something like, and I know something you care about, dill pickle making class.
Or passionate about dill pickle making.
Maybe not related to you, but like Bridgerton parties. And so Eventbrite is this wonderful space where all sorts of unique people can get together and like really share these like passions together. I have really particularly enjoyed a lot of the health and wellness for me personally is like where I like to go in, not just yoga classes, but like really interesting trail runs or things that are just more unique that you probably can't find on a more mass level.
Sure. But the difference really is you're finding that on the platform, but you're bringing it into the real world through events.
Correct.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit? I know that's why the platform has always existed. It's evolved through the years. Why do you think in-person events in real life is more important today than ever? And can you talk me through some of the research that has really been guiding the focus and doubling down that the company is putting on in-person events?
Yeah. So at the core, I would say, or founder-led company, and Julia Hartz, it's one of my favorite when she talks about the importance of our mission, which is bringing the world together through live experiences. And I think there's been this really interesting cultural shift happen. I would say in the early 2010s, is that how we talk about it? Culturally, the world turned towards digital communities, and what an exciting time. So when the explosion and emergence of all these digital spaces came about, Instagram and of course TikTok, but also like video games, there's this digital space for people to like have these niche communities. And we as a culture, like collectively in the world, have really created these digital personas, alter egos. It's been wonderful. However, I've noticed, and we've got data to back this up, in a post-pandemic world, people are craving to take those digital communities, those digital passions, and bring them into IRL experiences. We can pull up the data around the loneliness epidemic. And digital cannot solve for that. And so it's not an either or. I think what I'm saying, or like what Eventbrite's point of view is like, great, we've got these digital passionate communities. Let's also nurture those offline so that we can have human connection. It feels tangible. And there's just something about being with other people in real life. That's why we are here together at this podcast, because we could have done this virtually. But just being here in person, reading somebody's energy, connecting, seeing their smile in person, seeing their whole body, you get a totally different experience. I think Eventbrite is poised for such great opportunity. It's because, like I said, with any trend that's happening right now, you can find those in events on our platform right now.
Yep. I love that. We've definitely been seeing that again, like the return to in-person events, especially through creators and really using creators to bring communities together. I really like this idea of distinct passions. Like, what resonates with you? What are you excited about? What do you want to connect over? And it isn't necessarily the most obvious thing. Like the examples you gave, dill pickle making, they're incredibly niche and like unexpected in some ways. And so you're finding communities that you might not have found otherwise. I don't know about you, but in my circle of friends, I don't have a lot of like passionate dill pickle makers. So maybe
I'd come with you. I'd go with you.
Maybe I need to get on Eventbrite and find my people. But I love this idea of like, you can really identify and access those passions online, but then bring them into the real world through these events. I'd love to hear, what role do creators play in these events for you? And how do you think that companies and creators can kind of learn from, some of the findings that you've had on what people are actually looking for when it comes to events?
Yeah, there's like two things. One is when I think about the creator industry as a whole, I personally, as like a user and follower of creators, always find somebody that has a passion or something that I can connect with. The opportunity that we're seeing, especially in talking with creators, is taking those online personas, these parasocial relationships that we have with these creators, and bringing them in real life. One of my favorite creators is this woman named Rudy Jude, and she's got this very like specific aesthetic. And so when I think about her specifically as like a user, I could totally see a world where she would curate events for Eventbrite. She could curate a list for us that's all around like how to DIY kids' diapers, or she could DIY, here's how to dye your clothes, or here's how to sew something. And I think that there's a way to bring richness to your relationship with creators, to deepen them, to create more engagement. I think the feedback we're getting from creators when we talk to them about working with Eventbrite is they're like, this is amazing. I can actually show my audience a tangible way to bring my digital persona to life. And that's something that they're hungry for. They're like, I'm more than just this digital relationship or what you see of me online. I want to show you so much more. I think that events and IRL experiences gives creators that opportunity to basically show off so much more of who they are in a 360 level.
Do you think that part of that is because it is detached from a lot of the brand partnerships and engagements? Like, it's truly about the creator and their passions and their communities?
I think it's a way to show off your authenticity. I think it's a way for them to show off. I think a lot of creators inherently are that person in your friend group. I think this is what makes a really good creator. That person in your friend group that like always knows what's going on, always knows the coolest thing. And I'm definitely not that person in my friend group. But you have that person that's like, come on, let's go mushroom foraging at this thing on a Friday night. And I feel like creators are always that. They're always that person that you look to for advice and like what's interesting. And so they can do this with live experiences and show off, I think, more robust and diverse recommendations to their audiences.
Yep. I love that. It's like a culture touchstone, right? Again, like based on, we already have a relationship if you're a creator and I follow you, right? We're in a relationship. I know you well. We're getting to know each other over time. I kind of understand your passions. That's why I probably connect with you. Yeah. And so it's really taking that and developing it and like bringing it into the future. What role do brands play in that? Or what role can brands play in that? Like, what can brands learn from, again, the excitement and enthusiasm you're getting from the creator community around being this personal with how they bring forward events and activities that surround their passions? And also, is there a role for brands to play directly in like the curation of these events?
Yeah, I think that brands and creators can create these immersive, more experiential ways to activate what the brand is trying to communicate. through IRL experiences. And then you take that content, you can put it back online to like demonstrate that it is something that can be taken from online to offline. Shout out to my PR girlies at Eventbrite, but they use this term, which is from URL to IRL. And I love it because it's something that I hold with me as we're thinking about our relationships with creators and that authenticity. I think brands should absolutely be part of and get in front of IRL experiences, whether that's putting on experiences with the creator or that's making sure that they have a narrative in those experiences that makes sense. I'm not talking like sponsorships and logos and stuff like that, but like real immersive experience. How can this person, this creator, show off your brand in a really authentic way, tangibly, physically with people?
Yep. Like, how does it fit into their story?
How does it fit into their story?
And their story is eclectic and multidimensional and like all the things.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, we talked a little bit on the way here about this concept of collective joy, about an experience is better when you experience it together in person. Talk to me a little bit more about that concept. I'm spoiler alert, I'm obsessed with this idea. I listened to a podcast a while ago about collective awe, which is kind of the same thing. It's about these transcendental moments that you can only have when you experience something together that elevates you kind of beyond the moment, like a concert, a religious experience, kind of those like quote unquote spiritual experiences that people can have. So talk to me about collective joy, and then I'd love to know, do you have memories of that yourself?
Yeah. So Julia Hartz, our founder at Eventbrite, she, on your first day, on your onboarding, she always asks you, what's your favorite live experience? And I have been part of, because I'm in brand, I participate in a lot of listening to what people are saying. I have never heard anybody say their favorite experience was a solo, independent, digital experience.
Yeah.
It is always about these in-between moments. It was the feeling of being in a crowd and the joy that we all felt together and like what we dressed in beforehand and the memes afterwards. Think of your favorite brand right now. It's the coolest venue you can think of. If you're at that concert and you're the only one there and they're playing to you, it's kind of an awkward experience first.
When you said I was thinking amazing, but I totally agree. Yes.
You're like, cool, is anyone else seeing this? No. My favorite moments at concerts has been like the guy next to me I don't even know reaches his arm around me. We're both like screaming the lyrics to each other. We were like swaying in the concert. It's the smells, the bumping into each other, the energy, like that to me is the collective joy.
Yep.
And so at Eventbrite, if you think about like our events, they're a little bit more intimate. Large events are wonderful and I fully support them. And that is a very like a relationship where you're staring forward at the entertainer. But at Eventbrite events that are a little bit more intimate, it's people are turned towards each other.
Yep.
And so that collective joy and that intimacy can really flourish under that.
Okay. I really like that. One of the things that was talked about a lot at CES was this idea of relatability and true engagement. And it was a concept that kind of got unpacked throughout the week. But this idea of true engagement goes beyond just like acknowledging, liking, commenting, right? It's deeper engagement. It's true connection. And again, this move from like authenticity to relatability. And relatability is like a real thing that you can relate over, right? It's a two-sided conversation. And so I think there's something there in that for me as well. The turn towards each other is that it's truly relatable. Like you are already connecting over a shared experience and then you're relating on that and like building together on it, which I think is really cool. And again, like something we're already doing, but post-pandemic especially, there's just such a hunger for it. And I think also it's intimidating to get back out there. Even the like routine of things is intimidating.
1,000% agree.
Yeah. Driving here was intimidating. Getting dressed to be here was intimidating.
Things we used to do automatically, like we didn't even have a second thought of, now feels like such a chore. And that disruption in routine and habit is something that we focused on with our GTFO campaign last year. And that was really focused on being that wingman for people that's like pulling you off your couch, pulling you out of that loneliness and bringing you out into the real world again. I think collectively everyone can agree with you that that is like a sentiment that we're all feeling.
Yes.
And we're still getting used to. However, when you get out, because I've been to a couple things, and when I'm out, I have this buzz and I'm like, that was so easy and so fun. And I like want to keep doing. But then as soon as you crawl back into your like comfort zone again, it is quite easy to get stuck in that rut again.
Totally. We've lost the muscle memory.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about GTFO.
Oh, okay. In a post-pandemic world, we had looked at a bunch of like macro level data. And then also we all have experienced like the Postmates text that says, stay in tonight, get delivery. We've all experienced Netflix and chill, stay in on the couch. We've all seen that sweatpants were on the rise, right? Brit knows this. I wear my sweatpants out everywhere.
It looks fabulous.
Thank you. That I never get rid of after COVID. And so we all fell into this bit of a routine rut. And when we were designing like a back to going out in real life experience and like something that would resonate with people, GTFO was meant to shake people a little bit and say, come on, it's really time to get back out there and connect with people. Get the F out. Yeah. I know.
For those who don't know.
A little controversial. Get the F out. But in a playful, like, friend way.
Yeah.
Like, Brit, come on. We're going to dill making now. Let's go. And I also want Eventbrite to be part of the entire journey from, like, how you discover the, like, oh, my God, we're in the Uber and we're trying to put on lipstick while the car is like moving around and we've messed up our makeup and we're laughing about it. I want Eventbrite to be part of the like, we had a great experience. And then I want them to be like, after, here are the funny photos from the, event that we all went to. And then the like next iteration. Okay, what are we going to do next? That's just exciting. Let's go back to Eventbrite to discover that thing that we're all going to do together and have that moment together.
Okay, we've been talking about us collectively because I do think this is something that impacts everyone.
Yes.
And that everyone can engage with. But this was very much focused on a Gen Z audience, right? Like really getting young people out. I think that's something that, a lot of our clients are really thinking about today is like, how do I appeal to a younger audience? How do I really engage with them? Because the behaviors, the motivations are like maybe a little different than what we've been thinking. So I'd love to hear a little more about what you learned about your younger audience. Like what did you learn about what people want today, specifically those younger audiences? And again, how you're bringing that to specifically them. Again, I know it's a lot of common themes, but I think it's just really interesting. Again, it's like common questions we get. How do we bring back in-person events? Are they important? Do people want them? And then how do we appeal to Gen Z?
Yeah. I think I should pull out some data.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So just because that helps contextualize it, let's see. I would say like in some of the insights research that our comms team has led, they're incredible. They're always at the forefront of what's happening in culture. They have recently done a research study that has some great data, and I think it's rich, that goes into like this cultural movement of Gen Z being like, oh my God, help me get offline. 95% of 18 to 35-year-olds are interested in exploring interests and communities they've discovered online through in-person events. 95% is
Everyone.
Every Gen
So
Z.
basically, everyone.
Every Gen Zer is looking for the URL to IRL moment. I would say the thing for brands to keep in mind is that niche aspect of it. And so if you're really looking for this, more data, it's our comms team has led this research. It's called Fourth Spaces. So if you're looking for it and they can't find it, they can reach out to you. I'm happy to send the report or go on our Eventbrite blog and you can find all this data that they have led. But 73% of these 18 to 35-year-olds are likely to attend an in-person event in the next 6 months.
Yep.
Okay, so they're
willing.
interested. They're willing.
Yep.
And they're looking for belonging. So 45% want a sense of belonging and identity that attracts them to communities they're interested in. That's some rich data in there about the movement because I don't think that those numbers were there 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was more about your online engagement.
Yeah. So I have two questions. One is I want to hear more about fourth spaces because we hear a lot about third space, right? So it's like
coffee shops, bars, communal places.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is a fourth space?
A fourth space is something that our comms team has coined. And these are intentional spaces of gathering. And so these are places where people are gathering to bring their digital passions, their online passions, IRL.
It's a portal.
It's a portal. And they're through, it's a portal. And it isn't necessarily like a coffee shop, but it's the coffee shop that puts on the romantasy event where everyone can dress up as their favorite fairy or dragon. And there are some places that are like, they're very specific. Like they're looking for gaming nights. They're looking to meet in dating. They want to meet in person. They don't want to meet on apps anymore. But I think that the fourth space's work is really around what is that ideal space. It's a space, a celebration of niche interests. 81% are saying they want to be in a place where their interests are somewhat or very niche. They want
81%. Okay.
79% are interested in these events that combine multiple interests. I love this. Gen Z is asking, reshaping the way we think about. So this is a dill making class that has Jessie's
Dressed up as my favorite romantasy character.
Jesse's romantic,
and making dill pickles.
Yeah. I love that. Think about how dynamic and interesting and unique that is. And I think that Gen Z is taking their multi-dimensional, they're so dynamic, and they're taking that into IRL. It's going to reshape the way that events and live experiences happen in the future. And our organizers are Gen Z. We have a lot of Gen Z organizers. They're here for it. They're excited. They're putting on these events to bring these communities together in a really authentic way.
Love that. Okay, so we talked about fourth spaces, talked about Gen Z, talked about why now, like why is this moment happening right now? Why is it so important? Walk me through the next 6 months to a year. What do you expect to see in the world that we don't see today?
I think we're going to see a shift in the way that live experiences become more intimate and become more pointed. And instead of, I think of just going to the bar for the sake of going to the bar, or like my husband and I have date night every week, go to the same date night spots, you're going to see a bit of an evolution or like even a revolution in people's demand of what they want out of IRL experiences. So if I'm going to get out, I'm actually going to put on jeans. If I'm going to do that, I want the experience to be so interesting, so unique and memorable. And that's where I really love seeing this research that talks about multi-interests in one thing. I think that it's going to amplify digital communities and it's going to amplify live experiences. I don't think, and I hope that the key takeaway is that I'm not saying we're moving from a digital space to an offline space. I think both communities are going to become more robust and more unique and more connected. That's what I would love to see.
You say one amplifies the other.
One amplifies the other.
And vice versa.
Absolutely. Because without the digital spaces, how could you find all those unique? How do you find that? And that's what I want Eventbrite to be, is like for people to come on. And we do have some new things coming that I can't talk about quite yet. So stay tuned in March. But there will be a place to be able to discover these kinds of unique communities, these unique passions easily, and get connected with the right experiences.
I love that. I want to hear a little bit more about your path. What got you here? I mean, I know you've worked in some of the most creative agencies in the world. You are a powerhouse creative. I think that is like your superpower. You really understand consumers and you can match that with storytelling in a way that I think is pretty unparalleled, at least from what I've seen and who I'm engaged with, which is actually not nothing like in the world that we live in. So I'd love to hear, what brought you to Eventbrite? Walk us through your path a little bit.
Yeah, I started out in the agency world. I would say the two agencies that have stuck out to me as teaching me about true storytelling and authenticity would be Silverstein & Partners here in San Francisco, and then secondly, Wieden & Kennedy in Portland. And some of the work that we did at Wieden & Kennedy, I was on the Levi's account. And I would say it is one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my entire life, was working with a creative team, shout out to them, Julia Blackburn, Asia West, Steve Janikis, and a few others, who, when we got the assignment for workwear, they were like, we're going to put the brand to work. And we went to this town in Braddock, Pennsylvania. So Senator John Fetterman was originally the mayor of that town. And we worked with this guy to put the town back to work. And the creatives fought for authenticity and realness. We lived there for like 3 months in the dead of winter. The craft services was employed by the town. The PAs were employed by the town. The models, employed by the town. What Wyden and Kennedy and that creative team taught me was authenticity and realness. In the campaign, it's called Go Forth. It won all the awards, but I have to say I get chills when I think about that work. And working with John Fetterman, who's one of the most incredible, authentic, and like really cares about his community kind of guy, and his wife Giselle, who's also incredible. When that all came together, it showed me that when people come together to, like behind a certain passion and connectivity and do not let authenticity waver at all, you can create something really beautiful that helps and supports everybody. And so my old Levi's client had actually hired me at Eventbrite. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And at Eventbrite, it's so important to, even though we're a remote company, the humanity is so important. And Julia instills this in everything that we do. She really wants to support organizers. We celebrate organizers and humans. And I love that. It brought me back to those days of working on that Levi's campaign, where it's like, it's the humans that matter. It's bringing humans together in a positive way that matters. And in a world where there's digital fighting and fake news and all the craziness that's happening, what's really keeps me steady and keeps me so passionate about Eventbrite, it's like the antidote to all that stuff.
I love that. It's a full circle moment in so many ways for you, with the connection with Levi's, with the connection back to like authenticity, kind of what made that moment in your early career kind of so transformative, and then like to kind of step back into that through the work you do today. And I'm so glad that we could be here together to connect as well. You're a joy of a human to be around, so I really thank you for spending this time.
Thank you. It's been lovely.
Be a friend, tell a friend, and subscribe. Earned by CreatorIQ. CreatorIQ is your all-in-one solution to grow, manage, scale, and measure your influencer marketing program. Ready to unlock the power of the creator economy? Get started with a demo today at CreatorIQ.com.